From Ankit Garg on YouTube. He wants to get a review on Manappuram Finance. He's bought the particular stock at 158 rupees for the longer term. Vikas, what's your take coming in from Manappuram Finance? How well placed in Manappuram Finance over the longer term?
Yeah, Sharil, I like the stock. Coincidentally, this company is due to report its March quarter earnings today. I'm expecting good set of numbers from Manappuram, and both the gold loan companies are doing well on the street compared to the other NBFCs because gold prices have also gone up, and which makes their business secure. So I think he can hold on to the stock from a 6 to 9 months perspective, and I expect the stock to hit closer to 180, 190 levels.
I want to come back to you on this one, Vikas, because this is interesting. Sagar is a very long-term viewer, and I remember in an earlier avatar, I had gotten this question from him where he said that he wanted to invest in Goldiam or Goldiam International, and I believe at the time you had a marquee investor enter the counter, so there was a lot of interest in this. He bought 250 shares at 125 levels, and the stock has done particularly well, I believe, for itself in the recent past. He's asking if he should book profits at this juncture, and he also wants a view on the jewelry stock on the basis of fundamentals like, for example, Titan, Weber Global, considering that this is more or less allied, right?
Yeah, true. But I think the stock which is invested into, it's a good stock from the space, and I think he can continue to hold on to that also. As far as Titan is concerned, at the current levels, Titan looks a bit expensive, although it's a good stock, and decline could be looked at if one wants to invest into Titan. But within the jewelry space, that way Titan would be the preferred bet. But since the stock looks expensive, I would wait for declines to be entering into the stock. And since he's already bought into Goldiam at a pretty good price, I think he could continue to hold on to Goldiam.
The next query is coming in from Pavan Kumar. He's saying he's holding Indiabulls Housing, June 230 call. He's getting good returns of at least 40% now. He wants to know whether he should exit or wait for the stock to go up to 240. Kunal, what's your take coming in on Indiabulls Housing, June 230 call?
See, I think you should book profits over here. So I think we were discussing this stock just about last week as well, when the stock had given a breakout around 220 or 210, 205 kind of a zone. So it looks very attractive on the charts. There is no doubt about it. But then what happens is these option prices, they are dependent on a lot of factors. That includes not just the prices or the spot prices as a base, but even time value as well. So I think in that aspect, even if the stock remains in a consolidation, say for the next 3, 4, 5 days as well, it's possible that the option price may start eroding. So I think as a prudent strategy, you should try and book out profits over here, and then wait for corrections to come by. So if the stock happens to come back to say levels of 210 to 15 range, then I think buying back an out of the money call for Indiabulls Housing for the June series could again be a good strategy.
Okay, we've got a few queries coming in, quite a few in fact, on YouTube. I'm going to take Sandeep Surana's query, and this is on South Indian Bank. He's holding as many as 3,500 shares at an average price of 33. Would you hold at this juncture, or would you sell? And Vikas, he's looking to hold for at least a year, if not 2.
Alex, the investor has bought this stock at a pretty high price, and his wealth has eroded quite substantially. But if you ask me, at the current levels of around 10 rupees, the stock looks to be a buy. One could be the recent quarterly results also were good, and I'm expecting substantial upside from these levels. However, his levels would be pretty difficult in the next, say, at least 2 years. So since he has a horizon of 1 year, I think he could hold on to the stock, and I think by that time we can easily see a 50% upside on this stock.
Alright, the next query is coming in from Ritesh Garg. He's saying he's bought Titan June 1640 call. He's saying he's actually asking you, Kunal, has Titan as share actually crossed triple top level? And if yes, is there any scope for further rally, or is there chances that it may reverse from those levels? The stock is Titan June 1640 call.
So I think it's a good strategy which the viewer has taken for Titan, because I think if I'm not wrong, he was patient enough to wait for that breakout, and I think finally the stock has given that kind of a breakout. So it's almost a 6 month old breakout. I think from December 2020 highs or Jan 2021 highs, I think the stock has finally managed to surpass that big resistance of 1570 1585 approximately. So it seems to be a good breakout, and whenever typically we see these multi-month breakouts coming by for stocks, it results into the stock going up much higher over the next couple of weeks. So since you're looking at June expiry, which could be another 3 to 4 weeks from current time, I think it's a good strategy to hold on to the 1640 call for Titan.
Okay, we've got a question from Neeraj, and Neeraj wants to know about Reliance Industries. Neeraj has bought as many as 400 shares at levels of 1,960, looking for the long term, that is 3 to 5 years. Quite a lot could happen, Vikas, in that time, but are you confident that this is a good acquisition price and that the upside is significant for Reliance Industries?
Yeah, Alex, I certainly think so. It's a good stock to own from a 3 to 5 years perspective. The fundamentals are excellent. Most of its businesses are doing well. And the big trigger would be the demerger of all its businesses, which we are hearing. And in the next, say, 3 to 5 years, you can definitely assume that that would be done. So once that is done, and furthermore, in the very short term, there are rumors that the Aramco deal could happen. And if that goes through, we could see levels of 2200, 2300 again on this stock. So I'm bullish on the stock, and I would recommend a strong hold on the stock.
Alright, the next query is coming in from Sherry, and this is about the crude oil prices, saying that it is rising, and will this actually have an impact on IOC and HPCL, because petrol is manufactured from it? Will the margins decrease going ahead? Wants a view on IOC for the next 1 month period. Vikas, what's your take on IOC, HPCL, and how much of an impact will a crude price rise have on the company's margins? And also, what's your view on IOC particularly?
Yes, Cyril, both the stocks have done well of late, and their results for this quarter were pretty good, and they've been doling out hefty dividends also. From here on also, despite the fact that the crude prices would go up, which would be detrimental to their business, I think the valuation wise they look attractive even at these levels. Today we are waiting for the results of BPCL along with some dividend also, which we could expect. I think the entire sector would be in focus, and from say medium to long term point of view, I think both the stocks can be held on to, and IOC at these levels certainly looks to be promising and can be held on to.
All right, Coromandel International is actually a stock that I think a lot of people have been interested in off late, Kunal. We've got Anup, who's bought at levels of 860 and is losing just a tad bit of ground, but is asking for a target and a view for 3 months. It's currently trading above all of its simple moving averages. Is there room for it to go up further?
It seems like, because Alex, the stock has finally found its feet back after 3 months or 4 months of mild price corrections. I would say that the stock is managing to make a good comeback for itself, even though the indicators have not broken back above its major highs on the monthly charts or on the quarterly charts for Coromandel Fertilizer. But then you have to look at it in two ways. One of that is that the price has recovered and managing to come back towards its major pivot resistance of 860, 865. And the second aspect is that the volumes are also increasing for the stock in this move of rally as compared to the last 3 months or 4 months of subdued price action. Now, in that aspect, I would believe that it's a stock which is, which could be held on from current levels. If this level of 860 gets taken out, say by next month or so, then I believe another, 75 to 80 rupees on the upside could be seen in the near term. So I would suggest a hold on Coromandel Fertilizer, and specifically if the stock gives a breakout of that 860, 865 resistance.
Next query is coming from Santi on Federal Bank, saying that the ICICI MF would like to buy 5% through preferential plus open market after the RBI approval. I beg your pardon. Wants to know how will this actually affect the price of the stock, saying that the stock is actually trading between 70 to 92 rupees per share, unable to break the next resistance level of 95 rupees per share. So Santi wants to know how will all of this actually impact Federal Bank? Is there any scope of seeing further upside in this particular counter, Vikas?
Yes, Cyril, are bullish on the stock. The results which were declared by the bank recently were pretty good, and most of the private sector banks are doing well, and they're looking pretty good from a medium to long term point of view. So, although the stock has gone up from its recent lows and has given good returns over the last, say, month or so, but I think from the current levels also we can see substantial upside. So, I would recommend a hold on the stock at the current levels of around 87, 88.
This next one is a query from Twitter. We've got Himanshu Kumar Godbole who's asking about Pfizer India for the short term. Kunal, does it make sense to enter for the short term?
Well, it does. I think the stock has managed to pick up pace. I think it's forming a classical pattern of bullish flag on the daily charts. The breakout for Pfizer is around 5,400, 5,450 level for the pattern which I'm mentioning. And I think the pattern gets broken out. You could probably see a dash towards the previous major high of 5,800. So I think in the anticipation of a breakout at current levels of 5,280, 5,290, I think it's a good buy.
All right. The next query is coming in from Balan, saying that he has 300 shares of Ponni Sugar, which he's bought at 185 rupees per share. Wants to know whether he should continue to hold on to the stock or switch or sell. What's your take coming on Ponni Sugar's, Kunal?
I don't track the stock, Cheryl, so apologies, won't be able to comment on it.
All right. Vikas, you have any, do you track Ponni Sugars by any chance? Does it make sense to continue to hold on to this counter?
Yes, Cheryl, I also do not closely track this counter, but within the sugar space, there are umpteen number of counters which could give him comparatively better returns. I think one could look at Balrampur Chini or an EID Pari, Andhra Sugar or a DCM Sugar, DCM Sriram Sugar or Dalmia Sugar. So these are the kind of stocks which I fancy and would recommend him to book profits in Ponni Sugar and switch to one of them.
Okay. So Thomas Cook, Vikas, if I'm not mistaken, a long time back we've spoken about it as well. This is a counter, unfortunately, that took quite a bit of battering when the international entity by the same name but not associated to it announced that it was going under, if I'm not mistaken. This is quite a while back, but it's hit an upper circuit right now, and we've got a viewer who's asking whether it makes sense to hold it. Would you recommend, based on fundamentals? This is obviously a travel and tourism company. Not the best time to be looking at it on the business side of it, but if you have a long-term perspective.
Yeah, Alex, since currently I agree with you that times are not good for businesses like travel and tourism, hotels and several other businesses which are impacted very negatively by the lockdown. But I think this would be the right time to bet on this sector, because in the next 3 to 6 months, I'm expecting things to normalize because of the very massive vaccination drive which is taking place across the world. But Thomas Cook would not be the stock which I would fancy. I think one could look at a good hotel company instead, like an Indian hotel, which I'd also recommended on your channel about a fortnight or a month back at levels of close to around 110, 115. I think that stock could do well, and I think unlocked theme plays like a Delta Corp at the current levels also look good. So I think these are the kind of stocks which could be looked at from a long-term point of view.
All right, next query is coming in from Rajendra Gandhi and wants to know about Tata Communications. He's bought the stock at 1,161 rupees per share, but the prices are much lower than those levels currently. So what's the opinion coming in on Tata Communications? Kunal, what's your view on Tata Communications? That counter saw a very sharp rally. I'm sure a left out feeling must have come for most of the investors. So what's your view on Tata Communications? How are the charts looking now?
Well, absolutely. I think the stock did exemplarily well from the March 2020 lows, from being a stock which was at 200 to 20 rupees to a stock which managed to rise up 5 times, 6 times 5x, 6x, beyond that as well. So it's a stock which has done extremely well, and now I believe it's going through a corrective phase. So I think you should wait on for some more time. I think if you're looking to invest, because many of the indicators are now coming into a slightly negative kind of a territory, which could probably indicate that a corrective phase may soon begin for the stock. And I would sense that it could be at least a 20-25% correction further from current levels. So I would suggest a wait and watch approach, and look at it as a buy on dips. So specifically, if the stock it manages to break around that 900, 950 zone, I think that should be a first point where you should look to start nibbling into the stock, and then keep on adding as the stock drops a bit lower from those levels as well. So a good wait and watch approach as of now, but I think closer to 900, 950 zone is where I would suggest to start accumulating the stock from a longer term view.
All right, now petrol prices might just be at or close to 100 rupees per litre, but the companies that are selling it don't necessarily make all that money, right? Because we've got Raghupati who's asking about HPCL, 641 shares bought at an average cost of 290 rupees per share, and he's been holding for 3 years. He says that his return is negligible, but I don't think that you can look at it purely on that basis. You have to look at dividend yield also for these companies, right? Would you hold for the next 5 years though?
Alex, for the next 5 years, I think there would be umpteen number of opportunities in the market elsewhere, which would give him much, much better returns. However, at the current levels, the stock remains a hold. As I was speaking a bit a while back, I think the results for this quarter have been good, and the sector would be in focus. And with the privatization of BPCL, which I'm expecting at a much higher premium than the current market price, I think the entire sector would be in focus. So he should continue to hold on to the stock for at least next, say, 9 to 12 months. And I think he would get good, decent returns from the current levels. As far as his view on holding this stock for the next 5 years is concerned, I think he should look at opportunities elsewhere.
Next query is coming in from Padma, saying that she's bought 300 shares of Varroc Engineering at 350 rupees per share. Wants to know whether she should continue to hold on to the counter or switch to another sector altogether. Vikas, what's your take coming in on Varroc Engineering and auto ancillary company? What should Padma do with this current holding? Stay put with Varroc?
It's a good company from the auto component space, although the stock is not done as well. But I think at the current levels, one can certainly hold on to the stock. So my recommendation would be to hold.
Okay, Senthil Jaikumar has got a question on Dixon, and I'm coming to you on this one, Kunal, because he's asking whether it can be bought at the current levels for the long term. He's talking about a long term holding, but can he buy at the current levels is the question.
So he can start buying at current levels, but I would not suggest that buy the entire quantity or the holdings which you're looking to enter into the stock at one go. It's a stock which is under consolidation. It's a stock which has done phenomenally well in the last 12 months. I think, if I'm not wrong, in the last 12 months, it's rallied somewhere closer to 7 times or 6 times from its 52-week lows or levels of 500 approximately. So in that sense, the stock is looking to consolidate. And when you are generally entering into these kind of stocks, you have to have a longer term time frame, because the fact that these stocks have multiplied in a short span of time, they could go into a multi-year corrections or multi-year sideways zone before they actually manage to turn around and break out once again on the upside. So I would suggest a buy on dips approach. You can start at current levels, and then maybe another 300, 400 points lower from your entry price is where you should look to keep on averaging.
Query is coming from Rajan, and this one is for you, Kunal. He wants to enter a Lupin for the longer term. Wants to know whether he should wait for some more correction or should he start nibbling in already.
No, I think you should start looking at entering the stock at current levels. The breakout with the stock had seen almost 3 weeks back at that 1120 mark. I think it's a big breakout for the stock, and the fact that the stock has not corrected post that. So if you look at the breakout for Lupin of almost 100 rupees, 120 rupees, and post that, it's gone through an absolute sideways consolidation, which means it's trying to take time for the stock to digest that breakout and then move up higher to the next level. So I think even as a medium term play, I think it's a good strategy to try and enter Lupin at current levels. If the stock gives you maybe another 20-30 rupees correction on an intraday basis, I would suggest that use that as well as a good averaging opportunity. So I would suggest the buy on Lupin immediately, as well as on any small dips as well which comes along the way.
Vikas, coming to you on Tata Chemicals, Mihir has bought at levels of 775, very large quantity, 2,000 shares. Would you hold for the long term?
Yeah, Alex, this is one stock which can be certainly held on to. A great company from the Tata stable, and this company is very seriously foraying into electric vehicle space also, which is a big trigger in the years to come. So I like the stock, although the stock has gone up recently, but I think if one has a long-term point of view, I think one should certainly hold this stock.
Next queries come from Chandan Mandal, wants to know that whether you should buy SAIL at current market price for the longer term. What's your take coming in on SAIL, Vikas? Currently, yes, metal counters are under pressure, so best time to buy metal counters is particularly SAIL?
Yeah, Cheryl, I like the stock, and I think the correction, the substantial correction which you've seen in metal stocks over the last few days, I think it's presenting a very good opportunity for medium to long-term investors to be buying into these stocks. I think this metal cycle is a super cycle which would last for at least a couple of years, and I'm bullish on the sector as a whole. And within the space, I think SAIL would do well. It's already corrected from its highs, recent highs of around 140, 145 to the current levels of 120 to 123. I think it's time to get into SAIL, and its results have also not come for this quarter, which I'm expecting to be exceedingly well. So my advice would be to buy into SAIL at the current levels.
Piramal Enterprises, Dhananjay Mokashi is holding. This is for you, Kunal, at levels of 1,655, quantity of 288. Would you sell or hold at this juncture?
I missed out on the name of the stock, Alex.
We're talking about Piramal Enterprises, bought at levels of 1,655. Would you hold or sell at this juncture?
I think you should hold at current levels. The stock has been an underperformer, but it's a quality stock. At that, give it time, and I believe that over the medium term, say another 6 months to 12 months, there is a very strong probability that Piramal Enterprise could join back the league of those large cap performers from the group. So I would suggest the hold at current levels.
All right. With that, we are end of the query segment. Thank you, Kunal, as well as Vikas, for joining us with your take on Finolex Cables, also resolving viewer queries. But before, at the start of the show, we actually asked Kunal and Vikas about their high-risk and low-risk ideas. And Kunal's high-risk idea for today, I'll just bring it up on the screen as I speak. So Kunal, high-risk idea is MMTC. He has a target of 80 rupees per share with a stop loss of 50 rupees per share. And moderate risk he has on a Federal Bank with a target of 94 rupees per share with a stop loss of 84 rupees per share. And meanwhile, Vikas has a buy call on IG Petro with a target of 750 rupees per share. He expects that in the next 9 to 12 months. He believes that the company has delivered excellent numbers in Q4. Capacity expansion is on track, as well as the valuations remain attractive for IG Petro. He also has a buy rating on Care Ratings with a target of 725 rupees, which he expects that to reach in the next 9 to 12 months. He's saying that low valuations compared to peers, high OPM 43%, dividend 90 by 50, yield is 4%. So that is what Vikas has to say on Care Ratings. So those are the high risk and low risk ideas from both of our experts for today. But